In this video, we're going to continue to create elements in Blender, and we're going to use again generative design and parametric objects that we can create with different tools, techniques, and add-ons in Blender. So in the previous video, we saw how we can use a particular add-on called the building tools add-on, and this is really interesting when you need to do like the exterior of a building with a lot of details. Well, not so many, but quite lots of details. So if you want to have that extra decoration and panels, and you want to create windows, doors, but just on the outside. So if we go in the inside, you can see this is an empty building. So this is perfect for exterior, but not for interiors. And also we saw other add-ons, and among these we saw Bagapie and also Archimesh, and we saw how we can create stairs and ramps. Well, actually ramps, you can create ramps with simple polygonal modeling, and also how we can use tools that again are directly in Blender, like the modifiers. And in this case, with the array, we created a series of stairs. And so you can use the combination of all these different types of tools in Blender. Now, arrays are also good when you need to do floors. So if you created floors, you can just do an array. And in this case, we're going to use constant offset. We can type the exact measure, which is 3.3, because we have an apartment that is 3 meters high plus 30 centimeters floor. So once we do this, we can multiply the floor many times. So if you join everything, it's if you do Ctrl J, it's going to become the same model. And so when you continue to add counts, you can do quickly a skyscraper or a really tall building and so on. So these are, again, different ways we can work in Blender. And in this case, we are doing also the interiors. So each floor has also the interiors, not the exteriors. Now, also in this video, we're going to see examples of how we can use standard tools in Blender, like also polygonal modeling and mesh edit tools in combination with other generative design add-ons and tools and techniques to create something more complex. So in this case, with building tools, we can create really like standardized buildings. But if you want to do something more customized, you can use the other tools that we're going to see in this video. So I'm going to show you quickly in another lesson here that some objects that I've created so that we can create it together. And this is an example of generative design. So we have like a base model, and we can create facades or a curtain system or a panel system using the base and then applying different types of panels. So you can see here I've applied this type of framing. So what we do is create like frames and panels, and there are different ways you can create framing and generate different type of design, as you can see here. And you can do this with the really simple framing like this, or you can create something more complex like this. So let me just show you here. Okay, and then we have also like more complex stuff like this facade right here. And this is like only the framing without the panels. So these are like different examples. And for this, I've used the tissue modifier or tissue add-on that we're gonna see. Now you can use generative design, as we saw, not only for exteriors or buildings, entire buildings. You can also use it for small things and like pieces of furniture and furnishing like bookshelves and things like that. So let me just also here frame selected. So you can see here, and right now this model here is using tissue again, but also the lattice modifier, which is another object and modifier that we can use in Blender. Now let's start with this first building or something similar. So to do this, we're gonna use the edit tools. And we need first to figure out the overall shape, like drafts, and then the subdivisions. Now subdivisions are really important because each phase is gonna become a panel. So you need to make sure those are the way you want it to be. So let's create a new cube. I'm gonna add a mesh and add a cube, and I'm gonna bring it here in the middle so we can see it better. And I'm also going to hide all these because they are pretty heavy. This is a lot of polygons, by the way, so be careful not to like exaggerate. So I'm gonna hit H to hide everything. And then let's get to our cube. And here I wanna, first of all, size this in order to be like the first floor. So let's make like 20 meters times 20 meters. And the height, if you wanna be correct, you need to put this as 3.3. So it contains the floor and the apartment. So let's say that this is like the standard floor. And now we can move into the edit mode. So if we want, we can extrude this, like pushing this up like this, and we can set this other floor to be 3.3 again. So you have these two beginning floors, and we can leave these as they are. Now you need to continue to extrude many times if you want all those floors, but if we use the mesh edit tools that we already activated previously, this is an add-on. So remember, you need to activate it in order to use it, and you need to be in edit mode. So if we go to face tools, we can use the multi-extrude, which is really handy for this purpose. Now, what we want to do is offset 2. This is gonna cover the exact height of the previous floors. So it's gonna be the same height. And if you're not sure about this, let me just show you how you can do. You can just measure. If you go into view using another add-on called measure it, we can measure these segments right here. So we click on segment, we do show, and it's gonna show us different measures that we have in the scene right here. When we finish, we can hide. So you can see these are 3 meters and 30 centimeters. And let's go back. And I'm gonna recall again in the edit mesh tool, the multi-extrude. Now, just as we saw previously with Archimesh and other add-ons, you can save the operator. So you can save new presets so that you can recall them whenever you want to use them. Otherwise, you can restore anytime the operator default. So right now, we're going to do something really customized. So we're going to use offset 2, and that's fine. And then we're going to increase the number of levels, floors using the repeat. So I'm going to click on repeat many times. I want to do this like 20 times. So it becomes a really tall building. And it's a little bit taller than that, but that's fine. We just need to concentrate on these parameters right here. So we can also change the extrusion direction if you want to do something like more deconstructivist, something straight, something like I've done right there. I've used the epsilon. I've changed slightly the location on epsilon and x, and then here rotation. Now for the rotation, I only use the rotation around that z, so I create this like twisting effect, which is really, you know, postmodernism or contemporary architecture. And then we can also use the scale if you want to taper this. So let's say that this is going to be fine. Just a slight taper will be fine. And then you have other stuff here, but we don't need it right now. We just need, you know, this basic building. Now, anytime you can mix with other add-ons. So for example, here I can go back to the standard extrusion once I finish this. Now, if I select this and I do like a standard extrusion like this, and then I can like scale or bevel. Now, if I go back to the multi-extrude again, it's going to create another piece because it's taking that parameters that I already set up. And this is already kind of a generative design because we're using parameters instead of modeling manually. So if I press plus, I can save this as